making a
apparently one of them was arrested earlier for a similar incident. Let's go to George Sells. He's on the ground there as the police move in.
Yeah, Tom, just another bit of tension out here. Somebody threw something, a smoke bomb went off, some things were thrown over at National Guardsmen, and all of a sudden you can see the grouping of police that just charged into the street there. This has been kind of a tenuous piece, if you will, for the last few minutes. There were actually people in the crowd who were working with demonstrators, with media, with anybody they could really to clear the street and kind of calm things down. It was working for a bit. Don't know exactly what led to this, but once again, there was a kind of almost simultaneously saw a smoke bomb go off across the street, and a couple of items were thrown over at the National Guardsmen that are over here. They're now there with their shields up. You can see they immediately got into a real defensive position there, and officers moved rapidly into the street to try to see what they could do as far as finding the person who threw the object. And that's kind of been what's going on much of the night when things have been thrown. They've been coming from sort of in the back of the crowd, kind of in that vicinity that you're looking at right now. And obviously they're back there trying to figure out exactly who is doing it, but it's a situation that the slightest little thing can cause a real big problem. We saw this last night where things went bad pretty quickly, and obviously they're trying to prevent that from happening tonight, and a lot of that's being done with sheer numbers. You can see the large number of police out here, and then they're backed up by a large number of National Guardsmen. So at this point, you actually probably have a better view than I do with photographer Dave Sharp shooting down from a little bit higher spot. But that's what's going on out here. We'll keep you posted if things change. We're live in Ferguson. George Sells, Fox 2 News.
And fireworks thrown at police and the National Guard and toward City Hall. The National Guard is on the back line guarding the police department. They now have their shields up after some of those bottles were thrown. So far, at least 3 arrests, and we're continuing to monitor the situation there.
From where the protests were going on, but it looks like a couple of guys on top of a roof there. We're not sure who they are
they
or
may be,
what they're
the
doing.
National Guards.
A little closer,
National
yeah, there might
Guardsmen.
be one looks like at least in a National Guard uniform there, but they're under the spotlight there, and we're able to see part of that. And now we're back on the ground here, and the Ferguson protests. You can see looking down the street there, the National Guard outside of right across the street from the Ferguson Police Department and behind a police line, which is across the street from the protesters. And a pretty good group there, about 250 protesters.
There's also been some protests, peaceful protests in the Central West End. Those are taking place right now. We are hearing there are National Guard in the Central West End, but that when police arrived and there were protesters in the streets outside of the coffee cartel, they asked them to go to the side of the street, and they did. And so far, all of that is peaceful. Michael Brown's mother, Leslie McSpadden, was in a crowd of protesters last night when she got the news that Officer Wilson would not be indicted. Her response shows raw emotion as she yells to the crowd, and then her husband shouts out as well.
I've been here my whole life. I ain't never had to go through nothing like this. Love you. Don't none of y'all know me, but I don't do nothing to nobody.
The Brown family attorney said today that they do not condone what Michael Brown's stepfather said, but that people need to remember the pain they were feeling after learning the person who shot their son would not be charged.
Soon. Right now, we're just trying to keep an eye on them and see where they're going, and determine there's still at least 100, 150 of these folks, and they continue to move on down the street. I'd love to tell you which street this is, but I'm afraid I don't know. I just know it's east, and everybody is gathering here around this police car, and I suspect we're going to see what we saw tonight. I can see broken windows at this stage of the game, and you've got probably 75 people around this car, and yes, they're smashing the windows. I'm going to go ahead and introduce a little bit more picture intensity here. You can see what these folks are doing to this police car or security car. I cannot determine, but they are throwing things at it, and at this point they have broken the windows. There goes the smashed window, And once again, we're trying to overturn the car, which is what started last night's contentious, and they have succeeded in overturning that police car on this street. Obviously there's no officer in there, at least I don't think there is, but and the car will come back, which is pretty normal. These folks they seem to be pretty proud of themselves at this stage of the game. But we'll go ahead and widen out here just a little bit to show you how many are in this area. I would say 50 to 75, could be close to 100. They're now being illuminated by the police department, which I'm going to take this back out of here. And we have lighted. There's obviously a fire near the car. I don't know that it's at the car, but it does appear as though that is what people are trying to do, is illuminate the car and set it on fire. Not illuminate, but set the car on fire. They all seem to have moved back just a little bit now. That's in front of Ferguson City Hall, just so you have a reference point for those of you who are familiar with the area. Now we've got rocks being thrown at City Hall. At least I assume they're rocks, because I can't think of anything else that's happening. And we're going to just stay with this for a while. I'll give you a running narration as best I can, because the protesters here have actually turned quite violent once again. They are being watched from above. I don't know if there are any police in the immediate area, but there will be some coming on. John Brubaker tells me from the east, so I suspect we'll see the police show up here pretty quick. We'll come just a little bit further out here, and I'm going to I'll take this back out of here so we can see what's going on. And you see a number of people who are trying to light this car on fire, and it does seem as though, sorry about the focus there, folks, it does seem as though they're succeeding in trying to light that police car on fire. But a tremendous group gathered here right behind this car, and I suspect as police arrive, they will probably scatter, and they are in fact headed back east, some of them at least, right now on this particular road that City Hall is on. And here are some more protesters. You got a lot of people running through parking lots. We'll go ahead and widen out just a little bit here. There's a number of people running through that parking lot back onto South Florissant Road. We've got a number of people here who are moving back down the street, and you see TV lights every once in a while. Those are those big bright lights that you see down here. And for now, there are some more folks here by this police car. It does not seem to be on fire. There are fires near it, and there are certainly broken windows there, and they tried to push it over, but of course it came back onto its wheels. For now, looks like we have some, I'm trying to discern there. It's a little difficult for me to tell whether the police are showing up, and I can't make this too bright for you, or none of us will be able to see, but certainly another serious situation and a direction that nobody wanted this to turn this evening. Guys, I'll go ahead and toss it back to you if you've got any questions or want to make any other observations at this point.
Yeah, Steve.
People who are just standing and watching. I'm not sure what they think will happen. It is really hard for me to tell. It does look like there is a fire inside of the police car. Yeah, you can see it smoking. So there is a fire in there now. It does look like someone has taken an extinguisher and extinguished that fire. I'm not sure who that is, but they have extinguished the fire, and they are extinguishing the fire on the exterior side of the car as well. And you can see all of these folks gathered here. There's still probably, I don't know, 30, 40 people that are in this area. There may be more under the tree. I'm just not able to see them. And the county police helicopter is still above us, or the multi-jurisdictional police helicopter. And we continue to watch this thing develop. Tom, Andy?
All right, Steve, thank you.
The police now, they're coming down the street from not far from the police department, where the bulk of the protest has been tonight, and for the most part pretty peaceful, but not this one.
Continued live coverage. We're going to turn it over to Fox 2 News at 10 and Sandy and Rafer for more team coverage from Ferguson.
In front of Ferguson City Hall, where they've ignited a police car on fire. They moved a couple hundred of them from Ferguson PD to City Hall about 15 minutes ago.